So let's talk about what you probably consider the most pertinent part of the course policies, and this is the grading policies. So off the bat, you're going to have 4 tests throughout the semester. Each of these are going to weigh 12% towards your total grade. So a total of 48% will come from these tests. Now, a few things about the test. 1, I do not replace your lowest test score with the final exam score. 2nd, I do not curve. So this is a difference from some other professors' policies. Some professors like to replace the final exam with the lowest test grade. I don't prefer to do that. I think your exams reflect your understanding of that area of material, and that by using the final exam to replace that section, it's basically making you look like you understood that section better than you did. I also don't curve, and the reason I don't curve is that bell curve distribution assumes that the average student is a B student. That isn't necessarily true. Sometimes I have some really good classes come in and I get a lot of A's. Sometimes I have some classes that come in and they're consistently pulling C's. I don't think a curve does any justice to you. Now, you also have a final exam. Your final exam is going to count 22%. Now, the final exam, we're going to talk about it as we get closer to the end of the semester. A big chunk of the final exam are what are called Department Student Learning Outcomes, or SLOs. These are department-made questions, and they are there to reflect your retention of the information in the course. So a big chunk of your final exam is actually going to be department questions that are cumulative. So your final exam is very cumulative. There is a chunk that's related to the last material we'll cover in the class, which will be nuclear chemistry and electrochemistry. But I think about 45% of your final exam is old material. Your lab counts for 25% of your grade in the course. So this 25%, we'll talk about it in the lab, has a lot of components to it. It's your in-lab participation, your lab notebook, your oral reports, your written reports, the lab practical. This is all going to be something we talk about when we actually go into the lab. Now, your remaining grades here, you've got 2.5% for homework and 2.5% for quizzes. Now, I don't give a lot of quizzes in the class, and I drop your lowest quiz grade. The quizzes are not meant to make or break you. What they're there to do is make sure that you're learning material in a timely fashion. What I mean is that we're going to have a quiz on strong acids and strong bases. Why am I giving you this quiz? Well, we're going to be working with a lot of weak acids and a lot of weak bases, and if something isn't a strong acid or a strong base, it's a weak acid or a weak base. So if you know what the strong acids and strong bases are, then you can easily identify what a weak acid and a weak base are. If you don't know this information going into the test, you will fail the test. So the quiz is there to make sure that you are learning material in a timely fashion. Now, the homework is 2.5%. This is another thing where I will drop the lowest score. That said, a few things to note about the homework. 1, the homework is due the day of the test. I will not move the due date unless we have a natural disaster. So if we're in class on the day of the test, nothing's been canceled due to ice or snow, the homework is due that day, the minute the class starts. The homework is only worth 2.5%, so it doesn't really count that much towards your grade. But here's the thing. Ask my previous students and they will tell you the homework is very important to do. The homework is substantially harder than the test. The reason why I give you all the way to the day of the test is that you have plenty of time to work on it. These problems tend to be much more involved than what you'll see on the test, and if you can understand the material at that level, you can definitely do well on the test. Now, because the homework counts for so little and because the homework is due the day of the test, I see a lot of students on the first test kind of procrastinate and wait till the last minute. This is not something you want to do. Start the homework. You don't necessarily have to finish it when you start it, but please go into it, look at what the problems are, and see if you can do the homework problems without your notes. If you can do them without the notes, you should be fine. But again, the homework is kind of meant for your own edification. It's meant as a way outside of class for you to assess your own skill sets. So please take advantage of the homework even though it doesn't count that much. And those are the components for your grades: your quizzes, your lab, your homeworks, your tests, and the final exam.